give it about 30 seconds, man. Oh, y'all can hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. All praises, honor, and glory be to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach, Kawashah. It's your brother Prince Malachi, sons of Jacob Tulsa, and we back. Today, what I want to be going into is loving your brother, or in other words, not hating your brother, because it's a lot of that goes on in the nation, and it's almost normalized, and it shouldn't be. You know, it's clean. It's completely contrary to the law. And we're going to talk about it today, man. So I'm going to try to give it another little 30 seconds for my brother Zion to jump on. I don't know what kind of problem he having. Supposed to be on. But if not, we're going to carry on. All right, so it says, "Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him." So we understand this is basics of the Torah. This is Hebrew 101, as they call it. This is what you have to know. These are the words of life. You see what I'm saying? If you hating your brother in your heart, you're going way the hell off. You're not walking in the spirit. You're being carnal, and you walking in the flesh. And you honestly, you headed for destruction. You can't think that you're gonna attain the kingdom if you hating your brother in your heart. There's no excuse to hate your brother in your heart. There's no teacher above you that can excuse you from hating your brother in your heart. And if somebody's teaching you to hate your brother, you should have questions, right? Because Yahweh said, don't hate your brother. I'm going to keep reading. It says, "Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord." So there shouldn't be constant strife and hatred between the Israelites. We're supposed to love each other. That's God, that's the Most High's will. That's what you see what I'm saying? That's what he ordained. When we step outside of that, now we going off. When the law says obey the Most High and don't turn yourself to the left hand or to the right hand, you going off essentially when you hate your brother, man. You're not supposed to avenge. You're not supposed to bear a grudge. So these long-standing beefs that brothers be having between each other, they're off. It's against the Bible, right? There's no deep breakdown. There's no dark interpretation. You know, it don't gotta be a parable. It's not nothing deep, but yet we overlook it and we give place for it. There's not supposed to be no long-standing beefs between us, especially among the men of the Lord. I was reading earlier, you know what I'm saying, roughly paraphrasing, those type of things is not supposed to be once named among us. Those types of behaviors is not supposed to be once named among us. They shouldn't be able to point the finger at us and say, look what they doing. These guys hate each other. These guys can't even get along. Our Lord Yahushua, he taught that by this, roughly paraphrasing, you will know that you are my disciples when ye have love one toward another. How can you claim to be a disciple of Yahushua HaMashiach and you can't love your brother just because you know, this brother came to this conclusion in the scriptures and that brother came to this conclusion in the scriptures. Both of these men is well studied. Both of these men fear the Lord. Both of these men are diligent about serving the Most High the right way. They're both passionate about serving the Most High the right way. They both passionate about waking up their people to the knowledge of the truth. Nobody's in blatant sin. It's not like it's not like the topic that y'all disagreeing on isn't debatable. If it wasn't debatable, there wouldn't be so many debates over the topic. There's good points on both sides. Why do we gotta hate each other just because we came to two different conclusions? We don't have to do that, bro. We can love each other. And you do got certain brothers that's doing a good job of moving in that kind of spirit. Like, we don't gotta hate each other just because we don't agree on this. It's not it don't gotta be that, y'all. It's not supposed to be that. We gonna come to a full understanding in due time, right? Hey, it's crazy what brothers is doing out here. But let's see. But yeah, the grudges gotta stop. These long-standing beefs, they gotta stop. It's becoming it's like a tradition of men almost. It's like something that started a long time ago that done got passed down to now, and it should have stopped a long time ago. This is not what the Torah taught us to do. This is not how the Torah taught us to behave toward one another. This is something you learn from a man. It's something you learn from men. Just be honest. Give me a second, Bobby Shaw. Can y'all hear me?
Shalom.
Shalom.
You about to go to 1 John 4? 1 John 4?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna grab right now. Can we get the 1 John 4:7, Bob Kashaw? No, it's Cameron. Can you read that, Bob Kashaw?
Khan. This is the book of 1 John chapter 4 and verse 7. It said, Beloved, love us. Salakius. Let me start over. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God, and everyone that loveth is born of God and knoweth God.
Read all the way down to verse. Hold on, this ain't even it. Hold on.
It's 4 and 20.
Yeah, con. Read that, King. Bob Kashaw. I'll read it. It says, if a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother whom he hath seen, how can he love God whom he hath not seen? You got someone that, Zion?
Yeah. So it says, if a man say, I love God and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that is not, it says, he that loveth not his brother whom he has seen. So your brother is the brother that's right next to you, right? You out to camp with him. You guys been in the truth for 2 years, right? How can you say that you just love God but then hate him when God you don't see every day? You can't just call up God on the phone and just talk to him for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, kick doctrine. No, but you can do that with your brother. So it's just showing you that, like, you got to it's ridiculous to say that because you got people that, will tell you every day that they love God, but then they have grudges on 9 people around them, right? When they know that the law says love thy brother as thyself. So, we got to start realizing that the brothers that are around us, that we have to conduct ourselves more in a better way towards them. About you?
The law says we're not supposed to bear no grudge. We're not supposed to try to avenge. In the epistles, it teaches us not to walk in emulations, strifes, envyings, the spirit of variance. All of these things they're wicked spirits, man. They the works of the flesh. You're not supposed to be trying to prove you superior to another brother, whether it be by doctrinal differences, whether you believe your camp began first, or your camp is this, or your camp is that, or that's all madness. You don't find that, and it's not lawful. It's not what God taught. The scriptures say all wisdom cometh from God. All wisdom cometh from the mouth of God. Roughly paraphrase. The Torah is the standard. The Torah is the standard, right? Christ taught us how to move. The rest of this is just, it's off, man. And to be honest, you got elder men who still perpetuate this kind of behavior. You even have elder men who still perpetuate this type of behavior. And you got men underneath them that follow it. And if you kind of don't get down with it, you kind of going off in their eyes. Well, hold on. Don't the law say love your brother? Didn't Christ say we should love each other? The elders gotta get right too, man. It's certain elders that's perpetuating this kind of behavior. I'm not gonna say no names, but I seen a certain elder. He was out there teaching, and it's like for a long while he was just going in on other camps, and it just wasn't hitting. Like I don't know if that's what this is about, man. Much respect to all of the elders that do this work, though. I'm not gonna go in too hard, but we gotta get right, even the elders. I get Luke 18, 18 verse 9, Baba Shah. Did you want to say anything further, Zion?
No, sir. No, sir.
All right, God. Luke 18 and 9, Baba Shah. Cameron, can you read that, Baba Shah? You on
Salaki,
mute
can
if
you
you
say that
talking,
again?
bro. Can you read the verse, brother?
Salaki. Luke chapter 18 and verse 9.
Con.
It's, and it says, and he spake this parable unto certain which trusted in themselves that they were righteous and despised others.
And Salakia. This is heavy right here. Christ spake this parable unto certain which trusted in themselves that they were righteous and despised others. This is a major spirit that's going on within the Israelite community. You got brothers who trust in themselves that they are righteous. Oh, no. Over here, nigga, excuse my language. Over here, we got the truth. Y'all don't got the truth. Over here, we got the truth. Ain't no holes in our doctrine. Y'all doctrine incorrect. We up here and y'all down here. Y'all going off. Y'all don't got it. Lord ain't dealing with y'all. This is the kind of spirit that brothers is moving in. They trust in themselves that they are righteous and they despise others. What did that look like? You got a man, you got a certain group of men, they loving the most, they woke up to the knowledge of the truth, they came together, they serving the Most High with all their heart, They out there on the highways and byways. They rebuking evil in the streets. They trying to restore their community to a righteous estate. They out there giving alms, doing charity, showing love to the people, trying to build the young men up, trying to build the young women up, trying to walk in holiness, keeping God's law, statutes, and commandments to the best of their ability, following Christ with all of their heart. They enduring all the tribulations that come with following after Yahushua. And you tell these men that they're not in the faith because they don't believe every ordinance of man that you came up with over there where y'all teach. Look, bro, that's a bad look. I'm really trying to watch my language, but that's like, you look like a jerk when you do that, bro. You think that's gonna make me like stop serving the Lord? And you think you doing that is really gonna make a brother come and join your organization? No, it's not. It just gives the whole truth a bad look. Everybody's not gonna agree on every dot and tittle at this time. We see that in the scriptures. We seen there was brothers who had certain disagreements, and they separated themselves, and they continued to do the work. There was no hatred there. The Bible don't record that these brothers went on to hate each other and to speak down on each other and say one another was not in the truth, or say, hey, we got the 100% doctrine and they don't, and they going off and the Lord ain't dealing with them. It's not recorded in the text where that happened. It says they went their separate ways and they continued to do the work. That's all it was. Hatred goes against the law. Hatred goes against Christ's teaching. Let me. My bad. I'm getting long-winded. Continue reading that, Baba Shah.
Yes, sir. Verse 10. 2 men went up into the temple to pray, the one a Pharisee and the other a publican.
Uh-huh.
The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, God, I thank thee that I am not as other men are, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican.
Uh-huh.
I fast twice in the week. I give tithes of the I give tithes of all that I possess. And the
Mm-hmm.
publican standing afar off would not lift up so much as his eye unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner.
Mm-hmm.
I
Keep reading,
tell
Baba
you,
Shah.
Salaki, I tell you,
Go
this
ahead.
man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalted himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself should be exalted.
Everyone that exalteth himself shall be abased, and everyone that humbleth himself shall be exalted. If you running around here puffing your chest out, trying to posture up and position yourself as the top man and acting like you're the god, you know, and acting like everything you do is right and you despising others, hey, you gonna get brought down low. It says pride goeth before destruction. This man in his prayer to the Most High, he got to talking about some, I thank God I'm not like them, and I'm not like them, and I'm not like this publican. Brother, come on, bro. You got weightier things to be praying about, bro. Because we know, come on now, let's not play games. You make mistakes in your walk just like everybody else. Pray about that. You sitting here, and exalting yourself over the next man in the presence of the Most High. This is what you chose to say in your prayer. This just show you the mindset. He's sitting here coming to the Most High, talking about all the things he does, as if the Most High can't look at that like it's nothing, man. The Most High is holier. The Most High got somebody who's actually more righteous than you. You gotta humble yourself, right? You can't walk in this spirit, man. You can't think everything you're doing is right to the point where you despise other men who just trying to follow after the Most High, right? And I yield.
Well said, man. Hey, knowledge puffeth up. when you get a bunch of knowledge, man, sometimes you got to stay to the milk, man. Just stay to the milk. Like, yes, it's good that brothers are increasing in history, increasing in all deep parables, but you can't forget what got you in this truth, right? Which was supposed to be that sincere desire to serve thy people. But I yield.
Well said.
Good lesson. Me and Mahar are going to go into some more history dealing with the Hasmoneans. Mahar, I'm gonna share my screen if you hear. All right. Share my screen. Last weekend, we learned about John Aristobulus I, Alexander Janus, or Alexander Janai, the man that crucified 800 Pharisees. And today, we're going to learn about his wife, Salome Alexandra, right? Her name translates to Peace of Zion, right? And she actually lived that name out. Let me see where I want to go and start. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go to this book. Fair use disclaimer. All right, Salakia. I had to grab my phone. So we're gonna read this book. It's called A History of the Jews. We're gonna get in here. We're gonna see certain things that the queen did, right? When she reigned, I believe, during the Hasmonean period, it was known as the golden age of the Hasmonean period, right? They called it the golden age. Let me see. Okay, bet. Let's read. Good Queen Salome. It says, did Alexander repent? It says, a story gained currency among the Jews that on his deathbed, 76 BC, Alexander Janai advised his wife Salome Alexandra, whom he appointed his successor, to dismiss his own Sadducean advisors and thereafter to govern with the aid of the Pharisees. Perhaps this story is true. So if we remember last time, Alexander Janai hated the Pharisees. It was a big dispute. It was a big civil war between the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Alexander, he was sided with the Sadducees, right? Let's not forget, these are not Greeks. Anybody that's coming in and seeing this right now, these are not Greeks. This is actually the lineage and the bloodline of Mattathias, right? Going all the way down to Simeon, to John Hyrcanus and his sons, and then his sons. These are not Greeks. These are our people. These are Jews. Okay. It says the fact is that she did change her husband's policy. She dismissed the Sadducees from their official positions and appointed Pharisees to their places in the Sanhedrin, that is, in the Council of State, which is at that time was legislature and Supreme Court combined. Let me just so everybody is caught up. Just so everybody is caught up, because a lot of people may not know what a Sanhedrin is. And I want everybody to be caught up. I want everybody to know what's going on and be able to follow along. It says the Sanhedrin was the supreme council of ancient Jerusalem, acting as both a judicial and administrative body. It was composed of 71 members, including the high priest, elders, and scribes. The Sanhedrin played a significant role in Jewish life, particularly during the time of Jesus, and is frequently mentioned in the New Testament. So the word Sanhedrin comes from the Greek word Syndrion meaning council or sitting together. It signifies a gathering of people for deliberation or judgment. So you may be wondering what the Sanhedrin is all about, right? The Sanhedrin is a council of elders, scribes. They can be Pharisees, Sadducees, chief elder men, and they discuss matters. They go over councils, they go over politics, they go over the weightier things for our people, right? They handle weighty matters. If there was a problem, you go to one of the elders, and I read typically if it's a smaller problem, you'll get about 3 Sanhedrin members. A little bit bigger problem, you get about 7 Sanhedrin members. Bigger problem, you get about 21. There was, I think it's something called the Great Sanhedrin, is when all 71 elders, all 71 people come along and discuss the matter. I believe that only happened about 2 or 3 times. That's when something huge happened, right? So what the queen did was, instead of the Sadducees presiding over the Sanhedrin, over the basically the leaders of our people, she put the Pharisees as those leaders. She put the Pharisees in charge, which can change things drastically, right? If you were over the Sanhedrin, you were basically what is it? You could point to where our people was going to go economically, spiritually, in terms of war. We didn't have a rightful king during this time. So the Sanhedrin had a lot of power during this time. It's like I'm holding my son, so I got to make sure he.
So like,
go ahead.
I think we read in that book that it even said, no, we might have read this somewhere else, but I think it said that the Sanhedrin will help anoint the high priest.
Yep. Even sometimes the Sanhedrin would help anoint the high priest, right? That's how much power they had. Okay. But let's keep reading. Where
if you can zoom in on that book, you should.
Let's see. I might be able to. Okay. Is that better, or do I need to go a little bit more?
Go just a little bit more.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. It says the fact is that she did change her husband's band's policies. She dismissed the Sadducees from their official positions and appointed Pharisees to their places in the Sanhedrin, that is, in the Council of State, which at that time was legislature and Supreme Court combined. So now let's see what the Pharisees did now that they were in charge, right? It says the Pharisees now had a chance to show what they considered the proper duties of a Jewish government. They ended the policy of conquest. Instead, the Sanhedrin set about reforming the courts of law and abolishing a variety of superstitions which had begun to contaminate Jewish life. So what does it mean? It says they abolished the policy of conquest. The Sadducees were wanting to gain more land. They were wanting to conquer, just like as John Hyrcanus the first went and conquered lands. He had got neighboring regions. He even conquered Idumea. We still had a conquest policy after him, which the Pharisees did away with. The Pharisees were more so wanting to be spiritual. They were wanting to leave other people alone. They wanted to be set apart. They wanted Israel to be holy, right? It says, but the act which above all others showed what they hoped to achieve was the school law. The scribes had always insisted that every Jew must be acquainted with the sacred books. Ever since Ezra, scribes like Joshua ben Sirach had conducted schools where any man could go or send his children. These, however, had been schools of the upper grade. We should call them colleges. Elementary instruction was given at home by the father, upon whom the Bible imposed this as a duty, or by a teacher engaged for the purpose by those who could not afford it. So during this time, the Pharisees had implemented schools and or colleges. The Pharisees believed that every man should be acquainted with knowledge of the law, knowledge of the scrolls that the scribes had ever since Ezra and men like Joshua Sirach, who we read in Sirach, right? These men set up schools that way we can learn. Our people love knowledge. That's what our people was about. We were about learning. That's literally what we was about. We was about reading. Now you can't get Jake to read. You can't get Jake to read for nothing. Back then, that's what it was all about. Right? That knowledge is power. It's the reason they did this. It says this limited the educational opportunities since few fathers are good pedagogues or teachers, even if their knowledge suffices, and fewer still can afford the luxury of a private teacher. Gradually, to be sure, lower schools too have begun to come into existence. The Pharisees, however, were not satisfied with this haphazard educational system. Now that they had a chance to legislate, they, under the presidency of Simon ben Shita, decreed that every young man was in duty bound to seek an education. Of course, farmers still did not have the opportunity to do so and eventually came to be looked down upon by the rest of the population. But at least from the larger villages, towns, and cities, a literate, informed Jewish people could be expected to come. So our people, the higher ups of our people, wanted you to get an education, right? These are not the same. Don't equate these Pharisees to the same Pharisees we see in the New Testament just yet, right? It's still time that passes by. It's still a lot that happens, so on and so forth. These are those elders, though. These are the elders of these Pharisees, yeah. But it's still stuff that takes place, right? Not everything they did was quote unquote bad. But let me see. I want to grab some more information about the queen and what she did for the people. It says Queen Salome Alexandra and her political landscape. Queen Salome Alexandra, also known as Shamsian or Alexandra of Jerusalem, was a unique figure in Hasmonean Judea, remembered for her political skill in establishing a period of relative peace and prosperity. Her reign is often contrasted with that of her husband, Alexander Janai, known for hostility towards the Pharisees. Here's a breakdown of her political actions. Number one, reconciling with the Pharisees. It says, reversing her husband's policy, Salome Alexandra completely reversed her late husband's hostile policies toward the Pharisees. Bringing them into government, she brought the Pharisees into government and even appointed her brother, Shimon ben Shittak, a prominent Pharisee, as a joint head of the Great Assembly, or the Sanhedrin. Restoring Pharisaic law. The oral law supported by the Pharisees was again recognized as the law of the royal court. So the oral law, the Talmud, was something that our people created. No, it's not the exact Talmud that we got today, because we know other people got their hands on it. But when it comes to the law and when it comes to judgments, there's certain things that's not written in the law that we can go and read about, to where it's like, okay, boom, we can just make that judgment here. It's not written like that, right? One example I can give you to where the oral law was quote unquote beneficial, right? Say something comes up. Me and Mahar, we go over this topic every now and then. What if a man was to go to war and, he leaves his wife at home? He was to go to war and he never comes back home. Nobody sees him die. Nobody knows what happened to him. Is his wife free to marry? Some will say, no, she's married. We cannot prove his death. Some will say, yes, because what if he never returns? What if he is dead? And now the law don't speak about that. What do? This is what the Sanhedrin for. This is what the Talmud is for. This is what the oral law is for. It was certain laws that wasn't so black and white that they wrote in there, okay, no, boom. If this happens, this is how we're going to judge the people. If this happens, this is how we're going to judge the people. If this happens, and it's all supposed to go back to the law of God. That's what we got to understand. It's all supposed to go back to the law of the Most High. That's literally what it's supposed to do, right? It's supposed to help. Let me see. Impact. It says this shift in policy gained her support of the people and helped unify the nation after years of internal strife. And the reason why is because the Pharisees were more so middle to lower class people, and the Sadducees were aristocrats, and they were higher class people, and they dealt a lot with money, and they were only, a lot of them was only in it for the gain of money. They didn't care about the lower people. They didn't care about that, whereas the Pharisees did. That's why we see the Pharisees implementing schools, the Pharisees implementing these things so these people can learn. It says dealing with the Sadducee persecution and displacement. The Pharisees, once in power, sought retribution against the Sadducees, leading to the execution of individuals like Diogenes, a former advisor of Alexander Janai. Protection for Sadducees. Shalom Alexander tried to avoid conflict by providing protected towns for the Sadducees to reside in outside of Jerusalem. It says Sadducees' grievance. However, she did not prevent the Pharisees from removing Sadducees from position of leadership within the Sanhedrin, replacing them with Pharisaic scholars. On to number 3, it says military expansion and deterrence. She expanded the Judean army and fortified the borders to deter neighboring monarchs, establishing a powerful and respected presence in the region. She even dispatched an army to Damascus, although this particular military campaign was relatively unsuccessful. In addition to military strength, Chabad mentions that Shalom Alexander secured peace through diplomacy as well. For example, she made timely gifts to Tigranes, the Armenian ruler, when he was threatening Judea. So essentially, she was making a lot of political moves. She was making a lot of power moves in through diplomacy. She made a lot of moves in defenses and fortifying our borders. There's a lot of things that a lot of people overlook. We read the Bible and we get the spiritual aspect of stuff, but you don't know what really goes into running a people, being a leader of a people, being a leader of an economy, and establishing order, establishing real order. I'm gonna keep reading. It says her later years were marred by tension between her sons Hyrcanus and Aristobulus, who had differing political and religious leanings. Following her death, civil war broke out between her sons. The appeal to Rome for intervention ultimately led to the end of Judean independence and eventual Roman rule. So her being in leadership led to peace. It led to almost prosperity amongst our people. It really did. In her time that she reigned, over the 80 years we had independence from Mattathias all the way up to Herod the Great. In those 80 years, she did it the best. It's a lot of brothers that ain't gonna like that. Brother, this woman this and this woman that. I don't know what to tell you. Don't argue with me. This is just what it is. This is what happened. This is history. I didn't make this up. I didn't say Queen Salome just, she did this and she did that, and I kind of made her do this. No, this is what she did. She brought peace to our people. Through her, brothers kept the law more. Her sons were unfit to rule during this time. And we're going to read about that probably later. When they got into power, this is when Herod started to appear. I believe through the name of, I think his name was Antipater the Idumean. He got in one of their ear, and it was all bad. You said how long did she reign? Let me see. Let me look that up because I don't know. Let's see. She reigned 9 years, and in those 9 years, it was known as the Golden Age. It was known as the Golden Age. All right. Let us go back to this book and continue reading. Boom. Let me zoom in. Like I said, this is a good book. If you don't have it, you should get it. It's called A History of the Jews by Solomon Grazel. History of the Jews by Solomon Grazel. It says Sadducean resentment. The Sadducees could not be satisfied with an arrangement that left them out of control of the government. The fact that the Pharisees represented the majority of the population did not matter to these aristocrats. They believed that they were the only ones fit to rule. Besides, they had some real grievances. The Pharisees had not forgotten the massacre of the leaders by Alexander Janai at the investigation of the Sadducees. They sought revenge and got much of what they wanted, but along with it, they acquired also the intensified hatred of the Sadducees. It was a cruel mistake for while the Pharisees were sure of support of the majority of the population and of the justice of their cause, they should not have forgotten that the army, the military leadership, and the wealth of the land, the basis of military strength, were all on Sadducean side. So it's a lot of stuff that we don't think about. The Sadducees had a lot of control of the military, the wealth of the land. They had a lot of control in that. You wouldn't have thought that. We always think, oh, we're just all one people. And it was so amazing during the Hasmonean dynasty. We were all together and we were ruling, and it was just so dope. And it was probably like the time of King David. No, it wasn't.
It wasn't so simple.
Go ahead, King.
I said it wasn't so simple. It's always politics and more things going on beneath the surface.
That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
It's always more stuff going on than beneath the surface, than what you think. It's not shallow like that. Don't ever think it's that sweet. It's a lot of history that we do not have, that we don't know. This wasn't in Maccabees. They don't teach this in school. Hold on real quick. Let me fix this dude. They don't teach this in school. You don't learn about this on History Channel. They teach us what's going on the other side of the world during this time. They teach us about Pompey. What's the other guy's name? Julius Caesar. I'm pretty sure we all heard of Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar lived during this time. While they're not teaching you what's going on over here, they're teaching you about what's going on with their people. So we always overlook it. We don't see it. We don't hear about it. It's always brushed under the rug. I know everybody know about Julius Caesar, but nobody know what's going on with the Pharisees and Sadducees. Nobody know about Alexander Janai. Nobody know about 800 Pharisees getting crucified. Nobody knows about Queen Salome. The Jewish man, they know about this history, but our people don't. We got to learn our own history. We got to pick up books and we got to read. They shouldn't know your history better than you. You know more about American history. You know more about Roman history than you do your own history. That's why we got to read. Yeah, it may be a little boring. That's fine, though. It's a lot of information in these books that we need. right? Let's keep reading. It says Hycran and Aristobulus. Mind you, Shakawar said, no, Ak, it ain't the KJV Ak. Oh, that's funny. Shak just joking, by the way. Remember, let me go to the family tree and show y'all what's going on. When we're reading about Hycranus and Aristobulus, it's talking about these two. Do not get them confused with these two. This is basically the start. He had a son. He eventually died. And Alexander Janai came. His other son, Queen Salome, Alexander Janai died. Their two children, Hycranus II and Aristobulus II. Right? It gets real confusing. Do not forget it. Let me go back to the book. Hycrane and Aristobulus. One reason why Alexander Janai preferred to have his wife rather than one of his sons follow him on the throne may have been that he had no faith in the strength of character of his older son, Hycranus, or in the wisdom of his younger son, Aristobulus. In this situation, which he left behind him, and for which he was himself largely responsible, Alexander Janai knew that both these qualities were needed. So they didn't have a quality. They didn't have wisdom. They didn't have strength. They didn't have might. They didn't have what it took to rule the people. They just didn't have it. This is why I read when the queen died, civil war broke out. That's why I said a lot of men aren't fit to be rulers. A lot of brothers walk around, yeah, I'm a king, I can be a leader, I don't follow no man. It's a lot of brothers that got a what is it? A being by their self spirit, but yet he a great leader. You don't know the half of it.
Ain't leading nobody.
Don't even know how to be a brother. Don't know how to love your brother, but you're a leader?
Hey.
No. What's up?
Never let a household, don't have a wife, don't have children. One of the things that our people did, like Aharon actually went into it with the Sanhedrin. There was a lot of rules.
Hold on. I was just finna tell you, pull them rules up, bro. Go over them, bro. If that's what you was finna get into.
Nah, that was what I was finna
do. Yeah, get into them joints, bro.
I bet. Requirements. I'm just gonna get a quick Google search though.
You good?
Man, the Sanhedrin hard. It said you went over earlier. The Sanhedrin means the council.
Yeah.
The council. You feel me? Sheesh. The council. That's hard. All right. I'm gonna pull it up. Let me share my screen. The council. So the council was responsible for like the welfare of our people. Soldier Cameron, you are dismissed. My bad. I should have told you that. You in here holding it down.
Holding it down, man.
Man, I was gonna ask y'all after class should I have left, but I'm gonna get up out of
He was holding post strong. Appreciate you, man.
He in there.
Just in case y'all need any precepts.
Yes, sir. Shalom then.
All right, shalom. All right, so let me see. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. All right, so real quick, it says to be a member of the Sanhedrin, the Supreme Jewish Court. This is our Supreme Jewish Court, the council. Just how we got a courthouse in America, the Sanhedrin was our court. It says individuals needed to possess a wide range of qualifications, including profound knowledge of Torah. So you had to know the Torah. You had to know the prerequisite was knowing the law, statutes, and commandments of God. It says wisdom, humility. Come on now. You couldn't be prideful and be in the Sanhedrin. Another prerequisite was humility, and commitment to justice and righteousness. They also needed to be knowledgeable in various fields like medicine, mathematics, astronomy, and have a good reputation and personal character. So you had to have that bag. You couldn't be lacking. You had to be well-rounded. So we're going to keep reading because the AI overview gives us a few detailed breakdowns right here. So we're going to read some of these and show y'all the qualifications that you needed to have to be a part of the Sanhedrin. It says Torah knowledge. Members had to be deeply learned in Torah, both written and oral law. Aharon went into both of these. You had to know the law. You had to know the Mosaic law. And the other tool, Aharon, you went into it concerning our oral law. We had situations that were happened in our community with our people that the law doesn't speak specifically to in detail. And we had to use wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the Torah to help make our judgment. Like the case, we know that a man, if he dies in war and he has a wife at home, that wife, she's a widow now, and she has the ability to remarry. But what if this man just we can't confirm his death. No one knows where he's at. No one can find him. It's been 5 years. This woman needs her husband because guess what? That's who is protecting and providing for her. That is who is providing for her. So if that man is no longer found, we don't know if he's dead. We don't know if he's alive. He's been man-napped, kidnapped, man-napped. What do we do? Because it's been 3 years. Guess what? All of that protecting and provision, it's going to end up falling on the government. It's going to end up falling on the system that we have in place. And it's just putting more burden on that. So to relieve our state, to relieve our community of that stress, is basically like we have welfare. People don't notice our Jewish communities, our people, we had welfare, where that's what tithes is about. But you're going to be putting people in there that don't necessarily have to be in there. So that's why that woman is allowed to go remarry so she can be taken care of. You see what I'm saying? She can add value to another man's house. But what do? We don't know where this man is. This is why we had the oral law. This is why we had the Sanhedrin to make these cases be solvable, if you will. All right. Wisdom and understanding. They need to possess sound judgment, discernment, and the ability to apply the law to various situations. So that's kind of what I already spoke on. I kind of jumped the gun because I'm just excited. Humility. So it says a lack of arrogance and willingness to listen to others were essential. That's tough. That is tough. I didn't notice this whenever we seen this the first time, Aharon.
Read it again.
I noticed humility and lack of arrogance, but it says a willingness to listen to others is essential.
Oh yeah, that's hot, bro.
That's hot.
What's that precept with the remember we was reading it the other day? It was about a council.
Said consider it.
Yes.
Like Sirach 32.
Let me go see.
A man of counsel will be considerate.
Yes, you quoted that perfectly. That's fine right there. That's on the money. You got to be considerate. Whenever you're giving counsel, you have to consider all possibilities. You have to consider the man who you're counseling, the woman who you're counseling. That way you're able to give a good judgment. And that's what the Sanhedrin had. Go ahead, King.
That's hot. It says, I think this is Captain the Bar. He said, when you go to your local court, there's literally a scribe sitting between you and the judge, typing all your words down. They definitely got the court system from us. I think that they definitely got a lot of that stuff from us. Bro, we used to have order, structure. We used to have nobility. You know what I'm saying? We used to be upright as a community. You know, we had a lot of things that was in order. Moving forward, it says fear of heaven, a deep reverence for God and commitment to his commandments were expected. So then in order to be a judge and sit on this high seat, you had to have these qualities. You got to understand, if you are a part of the Sanhedrin, you're going to have great influence. You got motion, you got notoriety, you got fame, if you will. And we talking about, you got all of this without having social media. People know your name. People understand that you're wise. Children look up to you. They want to be like you when they get older. Nowadays, our kids, even me myself when I was younger, I aspired to be like a rapper or a dancer, you know, some type of musician or NBA player, you know what I'm saying? But back then, there was times where our people really desired to be a priest of the Most High, to sit on the seat of the council, to be a part of the Sanhedrin, to have wisdom, to be able to judge between righteous and wickedness, to just have understanding. Our kids don't really do that no more.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Shakar made a good point. He said, all of this is the spirit of the law. All of this is the spirit of the law. And that's a fact, right? And some people are going to say, well, that's not true because why did Christ come and condemn them? You lack understanding. This is what was supposed to be set up. Hold on real quick. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
These are the things that was supposed to be set up. These men were supposed to do these things and be in righteousness. What the Pharisees in the New Testament were doing were being wicked. They were using their power in wickedness. They weren't actually upholding these things. So that's why they were wicked. They were hypocrites. But this Sanhedrin, these Pharisees, these men were trying to be righteous, right? They were going off the example that our holy forefather Ezra left behind them. Because Ezra set up schools. Ezra was pious, meaning he was very devoted to the Most High in his religion and his people. And that's what these people were trying to follow after. But Salaki, that's all I wanted to say.
Kind of good point, Sharp. It says, for you to be a part of the Sanhedrin, you needed to have a disinterest in monetary gain. It says judges should be incorruptible and not driven by personal financial gain. So if you was to sit on the seat, you can't be overly concerned with having just being too interested in your personal finances and gaining money, because you have a lot of power, you have a lot of influence. So if you're sitting in this high seat and you're driven by personal gain, you know, and you're greedy, you're going to end up causing your people to fall. You're going to end up hurting people. You're going to end up putting your personal interests of gaining more money, assets, and wealth over the welfare of your people. It says, love of truth and fellow men. Members were expected to be honest, just, and compassionate towards others. This is a prerequisite. You just got to love the truth, and you need to love your people. It's also what the law teach. It says a good reputation is what everyone in the Sanhedrin must have. You need to have a positive public image and a reputation for integrity. And that's just crucial. You need to have that good reputation. We be saying this all the time. Your works do follow you. Your works follow you. Your works follow you everywhere you go. Your name. In the book of Proverbs, chapter 20, I want to say verse 11, it says a child is known by his doing. A child is known by his works. A child is known by his works. Oh, that's a good kid. Oh, that's a bad kid. How much more you? It says experience. Judges typically had prior experience in lower courts before being elevated to the Sanhedrin. That's heat right there. Before you could make it to the Sanhedrin, you typically had experience in lower courts. All praises. It says a lot of people think they can just jump up to here.
Yeah.
A lot of brothers in the truth think that they can just immediately jump up to elder status. That's not how it go. And then this been on our spirit lately. People be disrespecting the elders in our community. That's not what we about. That's not the spirit of the Mosai. You're supposed to reverence the elders, show respect. That's the commandments. That's the law. It literally says that. You stand up and honor and reverence the elders. Moving forward, it says age of family. While not universally agreed upon, some sources suggest that judges should not be too old or childless, as a man was thought to be more compassionate. So this is actually, from what I know, true. You can even see this echoed in, I want to say Titus or Timothy. Basically, when it comes to being the leader of the people, being a bishop of the people, when it comes to being a part of the Sanhedrin, most of the men, you need to be a certain age. You need to have some sort of age. You can't be super young in the Sanhedrin because you don't have any experience. You haven't seen enough. And then on top of that, usually most of the men are supposed to have families, are supposed to have children, are supposed to have wives. Because if you're not able to lead a family, um, lead a son, lead a daughter, lead a wife, how can you be trusted with leading the entire flock of God's people? We want to see your works. You should be able to have a strong family because your works do follow you. That's why when you read it in the Bible, it says a bishop, he at least got to have a wife. You're the leader of the entire family. People are coming to you about their family and asking for counsels, but you don't even have a family. You don't have a wife. You don't have a child. So this is just part of the requirements. They say that people are more ready to trust you if you have a family. They say that rich men usually have a family too. I mean, real quick, I see a lot of similarities between having a household and a family and running a business. It's a lot of structure that's involved in both. It says physical attributes. Some sources mention that members should be tall, of imposing appearance, and free from physical defects. So they don't want you in there looking crazy. You should be kind of put together because you're the leader of the people. You understand? I'm not saying you got to be super fly, but you know what I'm saying? You should have a nose. It says linguistic abilities. They needed to be fluent in languages spoken in the region, including Hebrew, Aramaic, and possibly others. So everyone should be fluent in Torah, the law, statute, commandments. But a lot of these men had other attributes. They knew science. They knew about other gods. You know, it's a lot of matters. You're dealing with the whole welfare of our people, and our economy. So you got to be fluent. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to judge between cases. But I yield with that, King. You want that book?
Yes, sir. You got to be fluent in matters. Everybody, man, everybody wasn't built to be on the Sanhedrin. You just can't make the cut, bro. I ain't gonna lie. You can be wise. You just ain't finna make the cut, though. You know what I mean? Everybody think they the top guy. Brothers don't be studying. Brothers don't read nothing. Brother get 2 breakdowns from Deacon or Naquan. Now he out here active with the sword. Nah, stop, bro. Just chill. Let's just all relax, man. You know, it's deeper than what you think.
Now he cutting everybody, man.
Now he trying to cut. He cutting his mama up.
Now he rebuking his elders.
Now he rebuking his elders, man. Just chill, man. All right, we're gonna finish this little part out right here. It says, while Salome was queen, High Crane acted as the high priest, lacking the gift of military leadership. Lacking the gift of military leadership, he seemed to be of one mind with the Pharisees and was favored by them for the succession of Aristobulus. The younger son possessed all the soldierly ability of the Hasmoneans, but in the peaceful policies pursued by the Pharisees, he could not even look forward to the military glory, let alone to the kingship which he coveted. The Sadducees were with him to a man. It says, for the 9 years of her rule, 76 to 67 BC or BCE. If you don't know what BC or BCE is, it's before Christ. And if you see BCE, it's before Common Era, right? And then after Christ, AC or AD, I believe. And then ACE is after Common Era. Non-religious people came and changed it to Common Era. But it says Queen Salome managed to maintain peace between the opposing sides. These years contrasted sharply. Wait, 2 seconds.
All right. He being super dad, y'all. Give him a minute. Shock said that's a good criteria. Not gonna lie. I agree. Shaqua ATX, Shalom King. Shalom, shalom. Ramla, Shalom King, if you're still in here.
Shalom, y'all. It says, Shalom managed to maintain peace between the opposing sides. These years contrasted sharply with those that had gone before and those which were to follow. There was peace in the land and plenty, but there was no peace in the hearts of the people, especially the Sadducees. There was lack of sense of national welfare everywhere. Even before the queen closed her eyes, the Sadducees were on the march. She died tired and disappointed and left her country to face another civil war. So that is the history, some history on the Hasmoneans. And this book got a lot more. We might not be going into this book next week, but we sure are going to go into this book in the future, right? It's a lot of good information in this book. It's a lot of things to learn. That's all I got.
You see that, boy? You see that, boy?
You ain't reading that, Bo.
Boy, I'm on page 5, boy. It's going crazy, boy.
Got some stuff in there, huh?
Bro, I'm gonna read one thing and I'm gonna close out.
Bet.
I don't know what to read. All right. So the name of the book is called Jewish Pirates of the Caribbean. So our people were actually pirates, and we had a lot of stuff going on. I can't tell you everything because I'm only on page 5. Wait, I'm actually on page 6. Stay alive out there. But look, real quick, I'm gonna read this. It says, man. All right, I'll read this. It says, inquistadors were thorough in their questioning of heretics, and the trial transcripts offer an intimate look into the condemned Judaizers' secret lives. During the day, they went about as exemplary Catholics, attended mass, went to confessions, and had their children baptized. But on certain nights, they met secretly in one another's homes, reverted to Hebrew names, and read from the Torah. History would come to call these secret Jews Marranos, meaning pigs. But real quick, so during this time period, you had Israelites who were secretly entering into the new world, and they were making colonies everywhere. There's a lot of trade going on. There's pirates, just a lot of merchants. There's a lot of people dealing with gold, silver, all kinds of stuff is going on. And the Israelites was at the center of it. We was making a lot of money, but a lot of people had to be Catholics, and you couldn't be here. So we were undercover. We were pretending to be that on the outside, because if you wasn't, they would kill you. They would get you up out of there. So we would undercover be who we really was. But we're still keeping our laws, statutes, commandments, but we had to keep it on the wraps. So it's a lot of stuff going on. I want to keep reading. I'm going to read this part too. Dang.
Bro, I already know that book finna be hot, bro, because if it's going over the time period I think it's going over, the Catholics
It's the 1600s, bro.
Yeah, they was on people's bumpers during this time, bro. They was killing a lot of people.
On bumpers. Look, yeah. I got to do this, bro. It says, Each New World colony had an underground community of Jews, also, it says, known only to one another and their brethren in other colonies. So everywhere you went in all of these colonies, there was an underground system of Jews. It says, together, converos in the New World dominated commerce. So people who convert, I think converos is a term that they use in the book as people who converted. It says, together, converos in the New World dominated commerce. So we dominated commerce. Commerce is like buying, selling, and trading. We dominated that. That's why Jake loved quick flips and selling stuff, and we always was on that. It says, in the 16th century, when the known world doubled in size and international trade became big business, they established a trade network that spanned the globe. So we was out there for real. In Lima, Peru, the Inquisition reported the city is thick with Jews. Everything goes through their hands, from brocade to sackcloth, diamonds to cumin seeds to the most precious pearls in the vilest Guinean black. So they saying we was touching everything in Peru. Mind you, we still got people in Peru. It says in Bolivia with the Silver Mountain, the Inquisitor reported the silver trade is almost exclusively in the hands of crypto Jews. So in Bolivia, all of the silver, we was touching all of that. We was dominating all of the trade, all of the buying of silver in Bolivia. In Port Royal, Jamaica, English merchants protested. They protested. Descendants of the crucifiers of blessed Yahweh eat us and our children out of all trade. So they knew that we was related to Yahweh. They purchased the entire cargo of trading ships, divided according to paid shares, and distributed goods through agents in each of the colonies. So I'm excited reading the book. We seeing how hard our forefathers was, how we was on co-op covert missions. You see what I'm saying? Undercover, making it happen. I'm blessing y'all.
Let me read this, bro.
Aharon blessing, chat.
Yeah.
Drop a W in the chat.
He said drop a W in the chat.
Drop W's in the chat.
Bro, so the Inquisition, right? Big time period. It says the Inquisition refers to a series of historical institutions within the Catholic Church tasked with identifying and suppressing heresy. This is what they used. This is why Christianity is number one in the world.
Big.
That's why it's so big. They were killing a lot of people in the name of heresy, right?
They had that get down or lay down spirit.
Yeah. It says these tribunals, which emerged in the medieval period and continued to the Reformation era, investigated individuals suspected of holding beliefs or engaging in practices deemed heretical, meaning they deviated from the official church doctrine. While the term Inquisition is often associated with harsh practices, the specific nature and severity of investigations varied across different regions and time periods. Heresy hunting. The primary goal was to identify and punish heresy, which encompassed a broad range of beliefs and behaviors considered to be contrary to the Catholic teachings. Mind you, the Catholic teachings taught a lot of nonsense. This is why nonsense is so high in this world right now, because they got into power and they were called inquisitors, and they were hunting down people with quote unquote heresies. Bro, I'm ready for this book to be read, bro.
Hey, you hear me?
I'm ready for it, bro.
You hear me?
I'm ready,
you hear
bro.
Me?
I'm ready.
You hear me
I'm
though?
gonna get in the bag on this one,
bro.
It's gonna open some stuff up.
I ain't gonna lie, he getting through there. He getting through there nice and thorough. I had to read this page like twice because I'm like, hey, hold on. We getting off in there.
I like the Catholicism time period, bro, because they so bugged out. They so bugged out.
16th century, chat.
Oh, praises, man.
Zion dropped the W in the chat. That's right, bro.
That's right.
W's in the chat for history. So I ain't gonna lie. As we've been reading A History of the Jews, that book goes so crazy. It covers so much like a big, wide time span. And it just gave us so much insight and another wind and a deeper understanding of the Bible. So I'm really appreciating what it's doing for us, and I'm glad we could jump on live and just share some of it too. And Aharon, he barely touched the surface of it. It's so much more. Like just one page is just it's weighty. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. But yeah, I yield. You can close this out.
Khan, the water for tuning in with us. Again, I recommend getting this book, A History of the Jews. It's blurry. A History of the Jews by Solomon Grazel. Get a book, read a book. You know what I mean? Build better habits. That's how we started on this thing, trying to build better habits. I'm not a person that reads a lot. And one of the habits I've been building is reading about 15 to 20 minutes every morning. And it's paying off. It's paying off greatly, right? So read 15 minutes, 20 minutes a day. It can be biblical, it can be non-biblical. It's to help you out and gain more knowledge, right? But we don't got anything else right now. I don't know what we're going into next week.
Hey, we might. Hey,
we might be on that.
Might be on that.
You know what I'm saying? You can get your history, tap in. You know what I mean? I'm excited. All right. With that, I'm gonna give all praises, all honor, and all glory to the Most High God Yahweh by Hashem Hamashiach Yahushua. We want to say Shalom.
Shalom.